Hi everyone. Today I want to show you how to upcycle something that you may already have laying around your house and is perfect for seed starting. I have tons of these plastic gallon jugs. My husband has a CPAP. We buy distilled water to run through it, and so I have tons of these, but that's okay. They're great for seed starting. Maybe you buy milk in gallon jugs like this. You can wash those out and use them for seed starting also. So I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'm also going to give you a little side tip on how to make your own metal plant markers from something else that you might have laying around. Now, this method is great no matter how you're starting your seeds, unless you're just putting your seeds directly in the soil, of course. I like to do winter sowing as much as possible. If you're unfamiliar with that, please give my video on that topic a look. I'll put the link in the description. I just find that the seeds come out, or the seedlings come out much stronger, and it's so easy, and you can do it in the winter when you're itching to get out in the garden. I know a lot of you have ice and snow right now. If you can trudge out into that cold, you can winter sow and come out with great plants. But even if you use the windowsill method or you have grow lights, this method will still work for you. Basically, you're creating a mini greenhouse. So to start, all you need are clean containers with the lids, some scissors, and you may need some duct tape as well. And of course you will need a pen for marking what's in the container, and soil and your seeds, and some water. To begin, you may draw a line right here using a Sharpie. I go by the top of the label here, but if your bottle is different, you want to go by the bottom of the handle part here. I've been doing this a while, so I don't mark it. But the important thing to remember is you want to leave a hinge so that the top half of this jug is the lid, and it's going to have a hinge that so you can open and close it. And you want to leave that hinge right here under the handle. These are my old ratty scissors that I keep in the greenhouse, and I just use one end to puncture. Be careful, of course. It's sharp. You might prefer using an X-Acto knife. I like to live dangerously. And then once I've sawed a little bit, I can cut. And I'm not real picky about how neat this is. It doesn't really matter as far as the functionality of it. But you can see I've left this part uncut. And now we have a lid. Okay? So now we need drainage holes. Again, you can use an X-Acto or you can use a drill. I just use my scissors. And I just poke a hole in there. Sometimes it's harder than other times. There we go. And if you're using scissors, you want to kind of twist them so you get an actual hole. Let's see, can you see that? Important for seedlings to have good drainage, so you want to give nice big holes or plenty of small holes, whatever the case might be. There we go. Okay, can you see? All right, now I have my container. It really is that simple. I'm going to fill this with some potting soil now. I can get it to stay still. There we go. When you're starting seeds, by the way, I always recommend you use some kind of fresh soil. I just use potting soil, honestly. Some people have special formulas that they use for seed starting, and that's fine. You can also look up ways to sterilize older soil so that your seedlings have a better chance at not being sick, not getting diseased. And then I'm going to water this real well. Even think about overwatering it and letting it drain a bit, because you want that soil well saturated. And I kind of mix it with my hand, and I can still feel dry in here. We don't want that. Seeds need moisture. There we go. I kind of overwater it, but I'm just letting it drain. We don't want the seedlings sitting in a soppy mess, but at the same time, they need moisture. Now these are my seeds. These are some Brussels sprouts. And I'm just going to sprinkle them on here. These are real small seeds. So I sprinkle them and then I just add soil on top and pat down. If you have bigger seeds, you can just kind of dig a little hole in there. Dig a hole in the soil. If you put stuff on top, you want to pat it down because the seeds need direct contact with the soil. Now, and with moisture. Now, you can sometimes just kind of fit the top over the bottom here. I admit this is not my forte, but I've seen other people do it. Okay, I can't get it to do that. Sometimes you can do that, however. Just fit the top over the bottom and you get a nice seal. I always end up with a gap like over here. So what I do is I use some duct tape, and once this is dry, I'm going to tape all around this edge, okay? And that's going to close off the greenhouse. And then you might think, well, how are those plants going to breathe? Well, early on, before they sprout, they don't need to have extra air in there. But if I decide that things are getting too wet, too hot in there, ta-da! You just remove the little cap and they will do great. Now, one thing I haven't done is marked what kind of plants these are. I have learned from experience, yes, you can use on your duct tape, you can use a Sharpie and to mark what the plant is, but sometimes the duct tape might fall off, especially, you know, later once the plants get bigger, or, you know, maybe the marker you used wasn't great and it washes off, and then you're like, what is this? Is this a broccoli or is it cauliflower? I don't know. So I always put a plant marker inside too, and then you can also use that plant marker in your garden. My preference is always to use some kind of metal plant tag because other things have a tendency to either rot or the ink comes off, you can't read the pencil. One way I do that is I take aluminum cans like this and I just cut them apart. And I just use regular scissors, which my husband always says, you should be using tin snips. Those are gonna cut you, that metal's sharp. And he's probably right. But I have to say, in my, I don't know, it's been at least 10 years since I've started doing this. I've never cut myself, but be careful. Don't let little kids around these. Although again, my little kids never had an issue with them. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I just cut off the bottom, cut off the top, and then I have a piece of metal here. Now, I didn't do a very nice job on this side, and there's some pokey parts, so I'm going to trim it. Get rid of the pokey parts. Okay. Now, you can just cut it in pieces like this. And then you need a ballpoint pen. And you can write whatever it is, and it's the pressure from the pen that makes it readable. So these are Catskills Brussels sprouts. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick that up with the camera, but it's pretty easy to read. And then I'm going to stick that inside. Okay, I'm going to keep making my little greenhouses, and when these are dry, I will show you exactly how I use the tape to seal them. I have now made, less than 10 of these, and they're starting to dry a bit, so I'm pausing to put some tape on them. You could, of course, just pat them dry with a towel, but I just don't bother. The important thing here is to get a complete seal all the way around, because that's what's going to create the greenhouse effect. You don't want a bunch of air getting in. Easy peasy, right? And then I like to use a Sharpie and mark it. Of course, it would have helped if I had looked on the inside to see what this was first. Oops. Let's see if I can read it. Oh, I can't. Well, so be smarter than me and look at the label inside before you write on the label outside. It's not the end of the world. As these start to sprout and I check on them, I can remove this tape just enough to see what's inside and check on it, and then put it back. And it will stick enough that it will remain greenhouse growing conditions. And at that time, I can just write on here. So there you go. Really easy. I really encourage you to look around your house, and especially at plastic things that you use or your neighbors or family use over and over, and think, how can I turn that into something that I can grow seeds in this spring? If you have any questions, please leave a comment. And as always, I ask, if you like the videos that I'm producing, would you please subscribe and comment and like? Well, this is the beginning of my seed starting. And I think you can see, this is just a few minutes really after doing it. Hopefully you can see that there are water droplets forming in the tops here of these containers. And that shows the greenhouse effect is working. See you next time.